guys, welcome. My name is Amanda. For those of you that are new to the channel, for those of you who've been here before, welcome back again, and friends and family, g'day. So we're going to head down to the Aussie seafood house. We're going to get some fresh seafood to get in the freezer and also to make some lovely fresh salads as well, and check out some prices. So let me show you some Aussie seafood. So let's have a look at some beautiful Australian fresh seafood. So I'm shopping down at Aussie Seafood House, this one is located at Capalaba. It's where we go for our fresh prawns. Whole fish, you can always purchase whole fish here and they will fillet and clean it for you. So these are some beautiful fresh Australian seafood: coral trout, red snapper, trevally, Tassie salmon. Note the salmon's $29.99 a kilo for the large salmon. There's also some fresh mackerel, wild caught as well, and quite a few other different varieties of fish as well that you can purchase whole, that they will skin or scale or fillet for you, and you can keep your frame or they'll keep the frame, whatever. Some local bream as well. And fresh whiting, at this time of day they were sold out, but I have got plenty of fresh whiting. If you do purchase it already pre-cut, note the price of the salmon now, $49.99. So it's much cheaper to buy a whole fish. It does cost a fair bit more, but there are smaller whole salmons as well, which were $26.99 a kilo for about a 2 kilo fish, okay, which they can, again, fill it for you and it won't cost you anything extra. You can get your fresh snapper, barramundi, salmon pieces are quite cheap to purchase in smaller quantities as well. In the refrigerated section in the middle of the store, where they have all of the prepackaged food, you can get your smoked whole rainbow trout, or you can get shredded rainbow trout. The shredded rainbow trout is actually cheaper than a whole fish, so I usually get the shredded meat, and that way I don't have any skin that I don't eat anyway, but there's no skin and no frame left over, so it's a cheaper option as well. And all your pre-packed meals and things like that you can purchase there as well. Lots of marinated seafoods and different meals for you to try, as well as more harder to find seafood items like sea urchin roe. You can also get different caviar as well, oysters, marinated scallops ready for you to take home and cook, whitebait, seafood salads like the jellyfish salad that I like, the Japanese jellyfish salad. There's also the Japanese seafood salad there, sesame seafood. I also buy that one as well. Good source of iodine. There is the red caviar. There's also some pre-made meals like curried prawns, as well as mornay as well. There's oysters, Kilpatrick, mornay, or fresh. It's already been shucked. If you can't shuck an oyster, they've already shucked it for you. You can get oysters in their shell, or you can get oysters in a bottle as well. Just some options, you know. They do diversify for everybody's needs at the seafood house, and we've supported them for decades, since they were just a little van. So, you know, we have been purchasing seafood from them for a very long time. In the frozen section, you can buy all of your frozen seafood. Whole scallops that are in the shell, if you wish to do them yourself and have the shells for display purposes. You can get them with the roe on, with the roe off. You can get your prawns with the tails on, tails off, green prawns, cooked prawns. Scallops, you can get them either crumbed or battered, same with the prawns, and same with all of the different fish and salt and pepper squid, etc. Anything that you're going to want to do for a hot platter, if you want to do a hot seafood platter. So it's not just fresh seafood, it's all the hot seafood as well. And chips to go along with it, you know, beer battered chips, crumb chips, scallops, potatoes, salves and batter, you name it, it's there, as far as doing hot platters up, which would be great for, you know, celebrations, Christmas time, all that sort of stuff as well. But huge arrangement of fresh seafood are well above as well. So in the cupboard above, in the refrigerators above, I should say, freezers above, you will find even more selected seafood that's from all over the world as well. And they also have different mussels. They've got fish cakes. They've got croquettes. Lots and lots of different options. I could spend hours going through all of the different products when I'm down there. I stick to the basics. We buy whole seafood and we bring it home and we prepare it ourselves. That's the way that we've always done it. But a few boxes of whole 3 kilo boxes of tiger prawns that have been freshly frozen on the trawler for $80, coming up to Christmas, considering the queue is out the door and around the corner for 2 days. If you want to get seafood from the seafood house here in Australia at Christmas time, I would be popping down and grabbing myself a box of that and putting it in the freezer if you've got the space. Aussie Moreton Bay bugs. Nothing tastes like a Moreton Bay bugs. They're so sweet. They're luscious. They're like a miniature version of a lobster. The price tag is up there with lobsters now. It's $65 a kilo for a bug. They used to be a third of that. But again, everything is, more expensive. Fresh crabs. So these are sandies, sand crabs, blue swimmers, whatever you want to call them, they're the sandies. And you can get them uncooked, which are the blue, and you can get them cleaned as well. If you don't know how to clean the crab and you're just going to do like a chili crab, they can clean it for you as well. And you can also get it cooked, which is how most of us would know, and you can get that cleaned as well for putting on a cold platter. $7 each for the cooked prawns. Now, cooked crabs. There's also the lobsters, different size lobsters, Tassie lobsters. There's different kinds of crabs, sand crabs, and there's also the 3-spot crabs as well. I didn't see any spanner crabs there though. They do have abalone, $34 a kilo. It's only small, but it is abalone, and it's Tasmanian abalone as well. So if you want some abalone, or if you want to try abalone, a little bit of that, it's probably only going to be 100 grams, not expensive. Some fresh whole squid, if you like fresh whole squid. There's also cleaned squid, which you can turn into calamari as well. You can do the same with the whole baby squids as well, but baby squids are normally stuffed, okay, so they are whole. This is the shellfish, the prawn section. So lots of different assorted prawns, ranging from anywhere from around sort of $14, $15 a kilo up to sort of $45 a kilo. I've selected some Aussie wild natural caught trawler prawns from northern Queensland. So these are Northern Kings, and I'm going to be making a prawn salad for hubby. There's the odd tiger prawn mixed in with them, but generally speaking, they're all going to be Northern King prawns. You can get mixed prawns there as well at different times of the year, and this time of year there's quite often sandies. So I'm going to show you how to quickly clean a prawn. Really easy. Rip its head off, then pop your hand around its tummy and rip off its guts, and then squeeze its tail and rip off its butt. Done. Sweep. It's that simple. I'll show you a bit better. Okay, you get the head. You get your thumb underneath the head. You then roll your thumb on the belly of the prawn until you catch the shell. You roll it around. You take hold of its legs. You pull it off, and then you squeeze the tail and you pull out yourself a cooked piece of cleaned prawn. That's how you do it. All right, I'm going to do another one. It's not that difficult. Been doing this forever. Take its head off. Once again, click its head off. Then rolling that top piece of shell and then squeezing the tail. Yeah, that's simple. Rip its head off, roll the top piece of shell off, squeeze the tail. That's it. That's how to shell a prawn. Okay, I've been shelling prawns since I could walk, and when we were teenagers, we worked at the seafood factory as well, the Raptor Seafood Factory. And so I do know how to clean a prawn, just one of those many life skills that as a teenager you think you're never going to use and you never want to see a prawn again in your life. But funnily enough, it's just one of those life skills that has stuck with me forever. So whenever we are doing prawns, everyone just dumps a plate of prawns in front of me, a tub of prawns, 5 to 10 kilos of prawns in front of me, and tells me to clean the prawns. How long does it take me? It takes me about 3 minutes to do a kilo of prawns, so it doesn't take very long at all, even with my sore wrists. You can devein it if you want to, but these are wild-caught natural prawns, okay? So I don't devein wild-caught natural prawns, okay? There's nothing wrong with what they've been eating versus a farmed prawn, which may be full of, additives and chemicals and feed and God knows what else is inside their trails. Whereas something that's been out in our beautiful clean oceans, don't have an issue eating that. That's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning off all these prawns, and I'm going to talk about a few little facts. Fact number 1, you are not allowed to put these prawns back in the ocean here in Australia. It is illegal. Okay, just for those of you who don't know that, our fisheries have banned the use of putting prawn shells back into the ocean. However, there's a caveat to that. Wild-caught prawns, native Australian wild-caught prawns, are allowed to be returned to the ocean. Okay, so we can use these as burley or we can use these as bait, all right? However, if it is imported into the country, it's green, or it's imported, It is not allowed to be used for bait or put back into the ocean. That is to protect our seaway and our fisheries department and our wildlife that's living out there in the ocean from any diseases that potentially could be in the shellfish. For those of us who remember the prawn industry collapsing a couple of years ago because of a virus that got spread throughout the prawn industry because the water gets pumped from the creeks and the oceans and the lakes, and guess what? It had viruses in it from people using the shellfish that was being brought into the country as green edible prawns, because green edible prawns are cheaper than bait prawns. Get a load of that. If you want to buy a 250-gram bag of prawns for bait, it's going to cost you $10. But if you want to buy green prawns from Aussie Seafoods, for example, or any seafood monger that you want to go to, fishmonger, and you want to pick yourself up some raw prawns, they're probably going to cost you $25 a kilo. So a lot cheaper. So people were doing it. But again, that's now illegal, so don't do that. Now, these prawn shells, however, they're cooked. So for me, I'm not going to be using them for a bisque, but you could. You know, you'll still get plenty of flavour out of those. But what I'm going to be using them for is what you may have seen one of my cats just pop his head in. That was Baby. Baby is one of my cats. He's 18-year-old ragdoll cross, and that little old boy loves prawns. He particularly loves prawn eyes, and I don't know why, but he does. So there's obviously something in the prawns that the cats love. So my oldest cat, Sooty, who's the 20-year-old with dementia, he loves prawns as well, and they all eat the heads, including the two younger cats as well. So they love seafood. So I just simply separate the heads and I pop them into a bowl, and the cats have a bit of a pig out on the days that I bring home fresh seafood. Why not? It's good for them. You know, they like it. If I really wanted to use every part of it, I could blend it up, put a gelatin in it and set it and turn it into cat food with some fish. But, you know, they enjoy fresh seafood. I let them have it. And what's left over gets dug a hole in the garden, and in goes the seafood, and it gets eaten by the earthworms and everything else and breaks down and becomes compost in the garden. So no waste. Okay, now I'm going to be making a beautiful seafood salad for my husband. He would love, and he did, he was with me at the seafood house. You may have just caught a glimpse of him. He would like to get, he doesn't appear on camera very often, so he won't know that was there. But anyway, he wants a seafood salad, and he always takes these to work to have on fresh bread rolls whenever I do make them up for him. Now, he normally just would purchase the seafood extender and take it to work and cover it in mayonnaise and maybe put some salad there, maybe. Unlikely, but maybe put some salad on a roll as well. But he much prefers it when I make up the seafood salad, so I'll share that recipe with you. It's not particularly special. It's just the way we make our seafood dressing to do a light seafood salad. All right? So I'm just going to finish peeling off these prawns because they are delicious. So Aussie Seafood House, great place to get a different variety of seafood, everything from your fresh seafood to your seafood that you're going to cook, everything from your big tuna all the way down to your itty-bitty whitebait is your fish, and your prawns, you get a big variety of prices, everything from around sort of $15 a kilo for cooked prawns all the way up to around $45 a kilo for the giant prawns, and that's at this time of year. Give it a couple more weeks at Christmas time and the price of seafood will be skyrocketing. In about 2 more weeks, it will start to skyrocket. And come the second week of December, you will not be able to get within blocks of Aussie Seafood House. You know, they are all busy. So people have ordered their seafood well in advance. It's on order. You cannot go near that store unless you've got an order and a number, and you line up for hours to get your seafood for days prior to Christmas. So get in early, which is exactly what we've done. So I've got some seafood to put away if needed for Christmas, but my family actually line up at dawn at the trawlers and they bring fresh seafood as well. Let's make ourselves a salad. So we are going to begin with seafood extender. Not my favourite product. My husband likes it. He wanted it. He chose it. He's got it. Seafood extender, about 250 grams. I'm just going to throw in some diced up red onion, nothing too strong in flavour, because we don't want to mask the seafood. Some cucumber, just cut into quarters and sliced up straight out of the garden. He's running out to the garden at the moment to get me a second one as well, but I'll just put one in to start with and just add another one later on. He's also got to get some celery. So I normally would add some celery, some cucumber, some capsicum. At the moment, we've only got chilies, not capsicums. The capsicums are not ready, so he won't be getting capsicums, but I've got an answer for that as well because we still want the flavour. I'm going to chop up some prawns. I have cut up I'd say about 200 grams. So when I peeled the prawns, and this is normal, when you buy a kilo of prawns in a shell and you peel them, you end up with half as much meat. So I bought a kilo, so I've got 500 grams of prawn meat. It always works out the same. So when you're budgeting, when you're looking at the seafood, how much you need, especially if you're using prawn meat and you're going to be buying the prawns in the shell, just be mindful that 50% of it is going to be shells. It's not waste because it's all going to get used, but meat-wise, you just end up with 50%, okay? So sometimes people want to buy the full meat that's already been shelled. It's twice as expensive, so it's not worth it. Rightio. So let's make a dressing. Really, really simple. We're going to start with a good quality mayonnaise. This is real mayonnaise. You can use egg mayonnaise. You can make your mayonnaise if you've got the time to do so. I didn't have the time to do so today, so I'm just going to use 2 big dollops. I've also got fresh cream, as you know, that I picked this up at the outlet, so it was very cheap and it needs to be used, so half of it's going into that. Always put half cream, half mayonnaise, so that I end up with a rich sauce, but not a really mayonnaise-y sauce. Sweet chili dipping sauce. This is my Thai sweet chili dipping sauce. There will be a recipe here somewhere for that as well. And then there's also the capsicum sauce. I don't add tomato sauce or ketchup or whatever to a seafood. We're not in the 70s. We can do better than that. So this is capsicum sauce instead, which is pure red seasonal capsicums that have just been cooked with a little bit of vinegar. Okay, again, I'll put a link on how to make that sauce. It's really quick and easy to make, literally 2 ingredients. All right. So mixing all that together, just adding some white pepper, and that is it into the bowl. It all goes to coat that beautiful seafood and those salad ingredients, and then all mixed together, and then that is the nicest, creamiest, freshest seafood cocktail salad to go on bread rolls, to go in the middle of a table to have with all other fresh salads as well, especially coming up to Christmas. It's another option. You can always buy prawns in advance and have them frozen. You can add some lime if you want to add a little bit of additional lime and zest to it, and if you want to add a little bit of heat, a couple of drops of Tabasco is all that's needed. If you don't have the capsicum sauce, you can of course use tomato sauce or ketchup. It's just not what we like to do. And it's my sauce, my salad, my dressing, so it's all good. You do whatever you do, I'll do whatever I do, and this is how we like to make our seafood salad. And it's actually really nice with a bit of pasta as well. It's another option as well. But hubby wanted this for work for a couple of days, and so I said, yep, sure. So I've made him up a big salad, and he's going to take that to work and have that on fresh bread for the next couple of days that he's working away from the property. Alrighty, let's get on to some fresh prawns that I purchased also. Again, these are Australian wild caught Northern King prawns, but these are raw. These are not cooked yet because, once again, I'll show you to pull off its head, stick your thumb under there. It's easy. Pull its head off. Simple. And then grab hold of its first legs, rip those off, and then hit its tail. Done. Okay, keep practicing. It's not hard. These are easy to devein. Okay, so these are green prawns, and so green prawns are easier to devein because they're not cooked yet. And I'm going to show you how to do that. You don't need any special tools or anything else. You just simply need to grab hold of it and pull it out. So once the tail's removed and once the head's removed, there's nothing holding the shoot in. So you just grab one end and pull it. So simple. Alrighty, done. Let's continue to peel the prawns. It takes me about 3 minutes to peel a kilo of prawns. I think I may have said that. If I didn't, that's what it takes me. 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how fast I want to do it and how my wrists are feeling at the time. So we're just going to clean, devein a few. I'm not deveining them all because these are wild caught. I'm just going to do the odd one and then continue to peel the prawns. These prawns are different, okay, because they're raw. So they can be marinated, they can be seasoned, they're good for curries, they're good for chilies, they're good for stir fries, they're great for kebabs, they're good to be chopped up and put into wontons, they're great to have as a on the barbecue even. I'm not going to say chuck a shrimp on a barbie because we don't. But if you want to chuck prawns on a barbie and cook them with a bit of garlic sauce, go for it. You know, you can do that. You can do Mornay. So much you can do with a raw prawn. You can crumb it. You can leave the tail on if you want, and you can just breadcrumb it. and keep your little tail on and then cook them up that way, fry them, do whatever you like. But they are delicious. And so, again, they are wild caught prawns, and so I can use every part of this prawn. Now, I'm going to be making some seafood bisques and some stocks as well. And so a really good way to get some flavour is those prawn shells cooked down. So I've got some salmon frames in the freezer from when I filleted the salmon that have been put into the pressure canner, and I have them in jars, but I need to get another one. And I went down to Aussie Seafoods to check their prices just to be sure that their prices were more expensive than Costco, and they are $10 a kilo more expensive than Costco. It is the same salmon from the same place. All our salmon comes from the farms of Tasmania. It's all coming from the farms of Tasmania, okay? The difference being, if I buy from Costco, I'm buying from, an international company versus an Australian-owned business. But it's $10 a kilo. That's 33% more expensive than if I buy from Costco. And I'm sorry, but in this day and age, the cost of living crisis and expenses, if I want an indulgent food like salmon, then yeah, I am going to be buying it from Costco, because to me, it's not an indulgent food. It is one of the only proteins that I eat, which is seafood. Okay, so I don't spend $30 a kilo on meat, but I do spend $30 a kilo when it comes to salmon, because I eat such small portions in comparison to what others eat here of meat. Okay, so that's my little talkie, and now that's over with, let's go back to the prawns. Rightio, going to peel the rest of these prawns. Like I said, it only takes me a couple of minutes, and that's not me going on fast speed. It really only does take me a couple of minutes to peel the prawns. Now, all of the shells can be used, and all of these shells can be also used as bait, burley, whatever. They are allowed because they are Australian prawns. So they are within the standard guidelines and within the laws of recreational fishing to be able to use Australian wild-caught prawns as bait and burley, and I have proof of purchase in case. So if the hubby was to go fishing this weekend and he needed bait or burley, then he could use this. He's got a bag full of prawns in the fridge, which is bait prawns. He can use those, and fish as well. He does not need my prawn shells. So I have 500 grams of prawn meat, Perfect. Deveined a few of them. Don't need to devein them all. Lots of options to use throughout the year. I will be picking up over the next couple of weeks, so I'm just splitting the shopping so that the produce lasts a little bit longer, and I'm not having to spend all of our small amount of money that's been put aside for our shopping. How much is our shopping every year? Somebody asked me that question. It's about $3,000 for the year. That's what it costs me to restock the property. All of my pantries, and that is our toiletries, our dry stores, my refrigerators with all of the meat, and the freezer as well, and the laundry. Around $3,000, no more than $3,000 is what we use. Now, when we were shopping at the duopoly, the reason we stopped shopping at the duopoly is because our grocery bills were around the $300 to $350 a week. And I thought that was pretty bad back then, until I recently did see somebody else who had said that they had just done their weekly shop at Woolworths. They had 34 items. They were individual items. They'd spent $235, and out of those individual items, they had one pack of meat and half a dozen things of vegetables, and even the vegetables were 3 times the price of buying fresh produce at a produce store. We grow our own produce, so we are thankful for that. So yeah, no, I wouldn't go back to shopping at the duopoly. Costco is cost effective for our family, and we have no waste, and we have less waste products because we don't have all the packaging, and I know where all my food comes from, and I make everything from scratch, okay, because I have the capacity to do so, and I know that not everybody has the capacity to cook from scratch. They may be time poor, but at the same time, I'm ingredient based with most of the cooking that I do. I do have the odd indulgent where I'll throw in a dip instead of, adding bacon and cheese and all that kind of stuff, but that's okay. 90% of if not 99% of what we eat is from scratch, including our bread. It's just the way that we were brought up, and it's the way that even when I was working full time as a nurse, I was still doing the same thing. And it's only been in the last few years since I retired that I decided to increase our production in the garden and spend more time being less reliant on the supermarkets and other people, and be more reliant on ourselves. So self-reliance is more important. We will never be self-sufficient. It is not possible. I could be a lot more self-sufficient if the rest of the family didn't consume meat and dairy products, but if they do, then we don't have an option but to be still buying produce, but been mindful of where we get our produce from as well. Okay, so this is our prawns getting labelled, 500 grams to go in the freezer, added to the inventory so I know that they're there and how much I've got and how much more I need. I need to do a calculation to get me through a 365 period without doing any grocery shopping at all for any of our pantries. There'll be the few exceptions, and that's animal food mostly, pet food, animal food, things that we need for the pets and the reptiles and things like that. All right, prawns. These are peeled and cooked prawns, okay, but they've been pre-packaged in Ziploc bags. They're in 750-gram bags, and I need to divide them up into individual or smaller sizes because that will turn into a block of ice in a matter of weeks in the refrigerator or the freezer. They wouldn't turn into ice in the refrigerator, but they will definitely go off in the refrigerator, but they're going into the freezer. So I'm going to divide them up into smaller meal sizes. Like I said, when I have soup, I have 3 or 4. These will be mostly used for curries and for fried rice. So that is enough prawns for a fried rice, more than enough prawns for fried rice. So I'll just divide them all up into individual packages, Ziploc them all up and put them into the vac sealer. So there's prawns for curries, prawns for rice, and prawns to go in the soup as well. Easy. Not expensive in the long run when I think about how much it costs for the protein that I eat over a 12-month period. So those bags of prawns were $17. I can do cheaper than that. I can actually buy them cheaper from one of the local markets as well. And I will be checking when I'm back down there in the next week or 2 and just comparing the price before I get any more, because I do need to get some more. Just wanted to ensure I had some in stock. All right. These are the prawns that will be cooked up and made into broths and bisques later on, frozen, labelled, tagged, ready for the freezer. And that is my quick seafood bonanza for the week. All right, guys, so what did you think? You've been down to Aussie Seafood House. You've had a look at a little bit of the produce that we have here in Australia, our beautiful fresh seafood. What I didn't show you was the jellyfish, so I will get you the jellyfish in a moment. But it's Japanese jellyfish, so it is not an Australian product, but it's one of those few items that I really do enjoy, and it's such a small amount, and I do keep it for special occasions. Usually it's served with sushi. I have it as a salad mixed in with other ingredients, and so it becomes just a little bit extra for me. It's not expensive, but it is jellyfish, and people freak out when I say that I eat jellyfish. But, you know, if you actually look at the way that jellyfish is produced in Japan, it's because it's a vermin in the sea, and I suppose that's not very pleasant to think about, but the jellyfish is actually clogging up the waterways, and so they decided that they learned that it could be edible, and I've been eating it for decades and love it. It's just like a crunchy noodle. Put it in with coleslaw and you wouldn't even know it was there. I'll show you the jellyfish. So this here is jellyfish. This is a sesame and chili jellyfish. They call it Japanese salad. It's a crunchy, and Bilbo wants some too. It's a delicious sesame chili. Got a bit of bite to that chili. Salad. It's crunchy, really low in calories for those who care. You know, but it is. Does it have a nutritional value? Who knows? It just tastes really nice. It's not bad for you, put it that way. Like I said, I absolutely adore it. I don't get it that often. This tray of jellyfish would be, I could divide this up into about 6 or 7 servings and put it away. But I bought 3 trays of it. We'll see. It's pretty good. So that's just a few of the items available at the seafood house. That's how we buy our seafood. We buy local if we can buy local. We buy Australian if we can buy Australian. And we buy fresh if we can buy fresh. It's the easiest option. Tassie salmon comes from Tasmania. It is freshly packed, and I get that from Costco for the price difference, and that's all. Alrighty. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. Couple more shops left before Christmas, and then we're done. One more big ingredient shop. So I'm just doing the final inventory of all of the products that I need, and it does include some more seafood as well, because I don't have much prawns, or I need some more salmon. I've got about 10 or so jars of salmon, and I know myself that I need about 30. So I will be doing some more salmon. I've got jars coming at the end of the week, so I'll be able to do some more pressure canning before, I guess, summer, and before it's time to take a break before Christmas. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for joining me. Bye now.